Hello guys, it's Peter from PS Sound, and this is going to be a video that some of you might have been wondering about why Pete hasn't shared anything about the trip down to Australia. So yes, it's been quite a while since I came back and I haven't had a chance to sit down and take this video for you guys, but it's very important. It's very important because most people had such an experience down in Australia, including me, that definitely started a new chapter for PS Sound, and I'm hoping that it's gonna also open doors for you guys. Yes, it was a long journey. It was definitely a long journey. It was the first time we went down to Australia from UK, and it was great. It was great to get out of the country and travel, because during COVID most of us were locked in and there wasn't much chance to plan such a journey. Some of you know from our Patreon channel, that you can also find the link to in description, just like in any video from now on, that during COVID I was planning an online training, and it's been in the pipeline, and I haven't had the chance to really make it happen. It was difficult because I could feel that something is just not right about teaching people online, because there are things that you just cannot deliver when you are trying to tell people how to set up a system and how to tune online. And that was the beautiful thing in this journey going down to Australia, that we had the chance to organize a training. Some of you could see the video when I shared it around end of October or November, when I shared it on the channel. But then once we managed to find enough interest and enough people for the training, then I took the video down, because there were many reasons why not to keep it on the channel. This video is going to stay on the channel 100%, because this content, what you are watching right now, is going to be the content for anyone in the future, whoever wants to take part in this training. So the original reason why we went down to Australia with my missus is because there was someone down in Australia. Quite a few of you know who he is by now, but so you can also relate to him. Imagine that you've been planning and building your system for a year and a half, 2 years with my help. We had several consultations and we were planning everything step by step, and you have no chance to get what you are after, because unfortunately the shops down there were just not quite capable, and he had few attempts from shops and he could tell that it was just not it wasn't right. And during COVID, Phil had the chance to use his free time, and then he thought, you know what, why not? I'm gonna build a system myself. And he didn't have any experience before. He never had a car audio system before, but he was determined, he was passionate about it, and he did the research. He found me and we had many consultations, and then he was doing the right things step by step, and he wasn't shy to step away from crazy solutions like we do and what I recommended to him, and he certainly did crazy things to his car. But car audio is a little bit like cooking. It has so many ingredients when it comes to system design. Understanding what locations to use in a car, how to install the drivers, what applications to use, and if you have already a given set of speakers, to understand how to install them with the right application. If you don't have speakers yet, but you know the locations and you know the applications, then you have to understand what speakers to select for those applications to get the best results. These things may sound a bit Chinese, and most people are like, Pete, you're just making it sound, too sophisticated. But in fact, the result of a great system in a car really comes from understanding system design, and installation is the most important part. So Phil got the system to the stage that it was pretty much done, functionally. Cosmetically not yet, but functionally it was done. And just like cooking, you have so many ingredients. Someone can tell you online that, okay, you want to use these ingredients, and this is the way to cook the dish, and this is what it should taste like. But how can you tell that online what it should taste like. And that was the reason why I was holding back with the online training as well, because I could tell that it just didn't make quite sense. I fully understand that there are many people globally who are a bit lost. They don't have a chance to learn from anyone. They don't have a chance to travel. Then of course online training would be their only chance. So it's not ruled out that one day I may have an online training. But it was obvious to see from Phil's case as well that there's only so much you can do online. And he had two options. Option A, put the car in a container and send it to us, which had its challenges, and I could see that that wouldn't have worked, as organizing something from Austria to UK is not simple. And these days you cannot predict when a shipment would arrive. You don't know when the car would arrive. You cannot schedule it in the calendar because we are booked in advance now, so far in advance. Currently, as per this video, as it's shared, we are booked like 6 months in advance. So if a car arrives randomly at some stage, then the car would have to wait till I can put it in, and then we would have to work on it, finish it, send it back. Probably overall, that car would have been gone for a year, and that wasn't viable. So we were talking about the option of me going down. What if I went down and I finished a couple of the things of the install and then make the car set up and tune properly? So that sounded more appealing, and I could see a gap in the calendar. That's when we fixed the dates, Phil sorted everything out, the whole trip, and I advertised the video on the channel about the training, because that was also one of my dreams, that if I could have the chance to do the training on site, we would definitely see how it can work. And we had great interest, and then we had 10 people who came to the training. So before the training, of course, the main reason was to sort out Phil's car. And some of you have seen the post on our Facebook page, the pictures of the project, what we did to the car. We had one day when we took the car to a workshop, and Jay and Cohen, guys down in Australia, they were fantastic. They helped out. Cohen gave his workshop, and Jay also jumped in, and three of us managed to do as much as we could in a day to tidy up the car, tidy up the wiring at the back. Jay sorted out the full wiring at the back, also installed a charging point with an Anderson plug, so Phil can plug in a lithium pack outside of the car on a show. I sorted out the front sub with Cohen. We were making it pretty, blending it in, trimming it to make it a bit more presentable, because Phil's attempt was a bit DIY, shall we say. But he made it work, and functionally the system was solid. And I was so happy. I was so happy that the system was built exactly the way I would do it, minus the finishing touches. But when it comes to system design, everything was right, everything was working as expected, and I could tune an absolutely mind-blowing system out of it, honestly. I think this is going to be the stage when I'm going to cut in. Actually, I forgot it, because now it was almost a month ago. I'm going to cut in my first impression of the car after I had one day with Phil. The first day, we spent probably like 12 hours in the car, tuning the car together. I was showing him the whole process, because it was also important for him to understand it so he can do it in the future. And then the second day we did the install in Cohen's workshop, and then the third day I did the final tune, and I created presets for the training. I'm going to talk about that in a bit, but then now I'm going to cut in my first impressions, because some of you may laugh at it, but this was very emotional for me, and I think it deserves a few minutes. So let's see what happened when finally the system was tuned. Oh, here we go, guys. This is why we're doing it. Fucking hell. So this is now part of my little video log. down in Australia, right? Tuning Theo's car, and not long time ago I shared the Audi A8. Oh fuck, my tears coming out, honestly. Okay, so this is the day before the tuning training. Right now, I spent Tuesday having a basic tune on the car, although we spent a lot of time on it with Theo because I was explaining everything to him. It's part of the game, and everything takes longer then, because ultimately he has to learn and understand everything about his car, and he has to be in a position where he's safe in the future. He can do any changes to his car, although after I've done these different presets on his car, he won't be able to, not that he won't be able to make it any better, but in the future he will be able to deliver great results with his systems. And that's the whole point of the tuning training as well, that the guys will be able to tune fucking awesome systems. And now his car is fuck. I'm breaking down now. Fuck's sake. Finally, his car is exactly why I've been doing all this madness, sharing all these videos with you guys. How to build insane systems that nobody can top, honestly. I don't care about competitions anymore. I don't care what competition you won, score sheet you score the best at. When someone sits in a car that delivers emotions and your tears come out, you have ultimate effortless setup where you can listen to anything. Right now, it's Megadeth playing Catharsis. Why should an audiophile listen to anything like this? But this is an awesome recording. There's such a great mastering on this song, and when a system can deliver without any problems in a dynamic range and having almost like unlimited headroom, then it really grabs you and takes you away, and you are part of the music. And Phil's car finally has come together. He's been building this project for 2 years, and the whole family is coming out, and they are going to see me fucking crying in his car right now, because there you go, come on, yeah, you are part of the video log, because I've reached the moment.
You're done?
I'm done.
You've reached the moment.
Yeah.
What's the moment?
Oh, Theo knows.
When you get there and it's finished.
I'm not crying because finally I don't have to do anything else. And no, this is the moment when the system reaches the ultimate point for an audiophile, that you are feeling the music, and you get shivers, you tremble, you cry. I wish you. There you go, Phil's wife. And I'm shooting a video because this is going to be part of my video log. No problem. But bring the sticker out. Your car deserves it, because this system is holy shit. It's fucking crazy, man. Yeah, exactly. This is mental. So I have to now stop this at this point, because I have to give a demo now to the family. They have to understand why we are doing all this, why he's been working on the driveway for how long?
2 years.
Freaking 2 years. If I have to see this ever again.
If you ever see it again, it may be a couple of hours, not like months. It's mental. All right, let's listen to the system. you could see that, yeah, I went through a complete meltdown. And a few months ago, I shared a video on YouTube where I finished the LDA8, and that also put me in that situation where you get shiver, your hair is standing, your tears come out, which is the ultimate goal you can ever achieve with an audio system, that it can deliver emotions so well. Of course, with Phil's car, it was a complex situation when you realize that whatever you've been doing, sharing all the videos on YouTube, on Patreon, teaching people, whether someone is a DIY or someone is a professional, that the content is moving people forward and into the right direction. And having a project so far away from UK and then it all coming together, all working out, was just such a beautiful moment. And that was also probably a factor why I was melting down completely, on the top of the fact that the system was just awesome. I even told to Phil that if he got bored of that car one day, and if I was in a situation to potentially import that car to UK, because it's also right-hand driven, I would happily do that. I would potentially do a couple of slight changes cosmetically to the system, but other than that, you know, if I had an E91 BMW, I would do exactly the same installation in the car like that, whether I would use exactly the same equipment or not, but the install would be the same, and it worked awesome. So it was great to know that now we had a car for the training that we could use as a reference. So the training, that's the important part right now. So we started on Friday and we only had 3 days for the training, and we were hoping the 3 days would be enough. That was a bit optimistic. So on Friday we had a classroom style day where we sat down in a small room. I had slides, projector, explanations, a whiteboard where I could draw and explain things, and we went through a lot. We went through so much that I now thinking about it, that was extreme amount of content, especially in a single day. And now I know that if we have a training in the future, we will need 2 days. 2 days for the theoretical side of system design and tuning. First and foremost, people have to understand system design, what people can expect from given locations, given applications. People have to understand how to select a driver based on thin and small parameters. People have to understand where to locate speakers and what results they can expect from that. Everything is predictable in car audio pretty much. Yes, quite often competitors say that you need a fair amount of luck as well when you do compete, but that's a different story. But when it comes to system design, everything is predictable. This is 2023, so come on, you know. Yes, sometimes I can be a bit funny when I say physics is physics, sound is physics, so there's no magic there. But to put all the puzzles together, to see the full picture, and to understand how you have to use all the ingredients to cook a beautiful dish, yes, that takes experience and knowledge. So first, people have to go through the system design part, and that's what we did the first half of the day down in Melbourne as well. And to the second half of the day, which was already late, I think it was around like 4 or 5 o'clock, we started covering the whole process of tuning. Okay, the way I do it, because that's the thing. There are many ways to tune a car with different levels of result, you know, and success. And these days, everyone, well, I don't want to say everyone is so clever about tuning. I'm not saying that my way of tuning is the best way or the only way, but I know how predictable it is and how easy it is to explain, well, for me, how easy it is to explain to people so they can also do it. It's one thing that someone can tune, but if that person cannot explain that and cannot make people understand or learn it, then that's just kind of like, you know, the luck of that individual, that person found a solution that works for him. But figuring out how you can make tuning teachable, that's a different story. And if the result is predictable, if everyone can get to the same stage and deliver a fantastic system where you have great focus, great staging, you have holographic imaging, you have all the speakers integrated and speakers disappear, that's the ultimate goal. When the speakers disappear in the system and you just listen to music and you can see everything in front of you on eye level, the bass drivers disappear, they lock up to the top of the dash, and yeah, and it's a proper system. Not like many speakers just making a noise, making a mess, but you have a system where everything is literally holographic in front of you. Yes, this may still sound a bit Chinese to many people who have never sat in a car that was set up and tuned like this, and of course installed to get these results. But those guys who had the chance to hear Phil's car instantly, it literally takes 10 seconds. If you sit in a car like that, then you can tell that, holy shit, this is a different level. And that's the point where online training, in my eyes, cannot work perfectly. Up to a certain level, possibly it can, but how can you teach someone how to cook a dish without ever tasting, let's say, a Michelin star dish? You can only kind of create a picture in their mind what it should taste like, but how can you tell someone, let's say, who's never tasted a curry, a proper Indian curry, what it should taste like? You can't tell that person that, oh, it's similar to, I don't know, a Thai dish, or it's similar to a burger. No, it's not. That's extreme. But yeah, you have to be able to show to people what they should aim for. And that was the beautiful thing in this training, the way I planned it and the way it worked out, that you could see from the pictures on Facebook as well, and I'm going to insert a few here, that the first day, yes, we had the classroom style training, and we went through the whole theoretical side of system design and tuning. And then the following 2 days, we had practice. It's one thing if I just keep talking, keep saying things, keep showing things. People may understand it, but 2 days later, they will forget it. The way to learn tuning is if people practice it, if they make all the mistakes, and at the end, when those mistakes are corrected with my help on site, then they can get to the stage to cook that dish, and when they taste it, they can tell that it actually tastes beautiful. That's the way. When they can get to that stage, then after that, they know how to cook the dish. They can go home, they can practice, they can cook it 10, 20, 50 times, and then they will realize that they can get to the Michelin star level. And they can tune any car, they will be confident, they can tune technically any system. It doesn't have to be a car audio system, because the process is the same when it comes to tuning a home audio system, a professional audio outdoor system, any system. So on those 2 days, we literally dropped the guys into the deep water, and they had to tune their own cars. And those guys who flew in, they also had the chance the second day to tune someone else's car, or people had the chance to tune another car, including theirs. So it's super important on a training that people bring their own cars, preferably, unless we have a training at a site where we can deliver cars and then people can practice in those. Just like we are planning training this upcoming summer. I'm going to have a separate video of that shortly, probably this week, where I will advertise the dates and the location, and then you can send emails if you are interested in taking part in it. But it was great. It was great to see how the guys, yes, first they struggled a lot, they made many mistakes. Some people made all the mistakes that I also learned from. And then it helped to understand the process, how to avoid people making mistakes, how it's easier for everyone to deliver a full tune. Because the aim was to be able to deliver at least a proper three-way system with a sub integrated. You get holographic imaging and staging, and everyone got there, and that was fantastic to see, because you will see at the end of the video I will share the guys' feedback from the day, which is going to be another long part to this video. This is going to be a long video, yeah, I know. But the guys, they all got there by the end. And for example, Michael, you will see from the end of the video that he was really struggling. He had the least experience, and he was testing my patience as well. If people made the same mistakes, if they made the mistake and if I explained what they did wrong, most people understood it for the first time. Some people needed extra explanation, and then maybe for the second time they managed to do it. With Michael, I had to go back 4 times and he still couldn't do it. And then explaining it for the 5th time, it was really testing my skills, how to teach. And yes, I got this question from some people that, Pete, do you have any experience in teaching? And it's a valid question. And that's what I said earlier. It's one thing if someone can do tuning, and it's another thing if that person can actually teach it. And at least I was lucky when I was young, when I was finishing my secondary school, where I had to teach my neighbor's mum, who suddenly needed qualification to keep her job, and he needed GCSE. And she was okay with most of the things except maths. And I was lucky that I was probably in the top 3 in secondary school in maths. I was pretty good at it. I loved physics, I loved maths, and sometimes I was teaching my teachers. That was funny. But she reached out and she asked me if I could help her every Friday and Saturday. And she was like, you know, it would be good for you as well to have a bit of pocket money. I'm sure, you know, I can go out Friday night and Saturday night with a bit more money in my pocket. Of course, it's great. And I managed to push her through, and she succeeded, and that was so great. Because to explain something like maths to a young person, it's easier, but to explain it to a 50-plus-year-old woman, yeah, that's tricky. But I managed to do it. And to be fair, many people thought that I would end up as a teacher when I was at that age. I just didn't see it coming together. I had different plans with my life, and I got there. I'm doing that right now. So I found a way, and I could even explain the things to Michael, and he managed to do it. And when he finally pulled the system together and I listened to it, I was like, thanks God, it's working. It's now working with anyone. And it was great. It was great to see the guys as well, how they felt when they managed to do the process, and they were using the methods and the techniques, and they realized how obvious things can be, how much common sense you have in the whole process of tuning. And they were getting out of the cars, and some of them were jumping and giggling, and they were so happy that, holy shit, I never thought of this, and wow, you know, what a difference you can make. So that was fantastic to see. Then we also had the opportunity on the training to have a car, which was possibly the perfect demo car. And you can see more of that system from Jay's video. I was planning to use Jay's content in my video, but then it would be extremely long. So guys, if you want to see Jay's content, who was also taking part in the training down in Melbourne, then go to description, please. Click on that if you haven't seen it yet. And then you can see his footage and his take on what happened down there. And you will see also some footage of that Audi RS3 that we had on site. But I want to have a few words about it. So it's one thing to listen to a car like Fields, which has extreme installation, because you kind of expect the result, especially when you see the equipment, you see the installation, and if it's tuned properly, the outcome is pretty predictable, as I said it earlier as well. But when you have a simple build, when you have a daily car where you didn't chop things up, you kept the factory locations, like in the Audi we had 8-inch factory mid-base, we had upgraded mid-range and tweeter. At first I told to the owner that you should just keep it nice and simple, because it only happened like a month before the training when I managed to convince him to bring the car. because originally the car had Bang & Olufsen system in it, and I said, you know what, keep everything, just put a multi-channel DSP amp in. He put in a Helix V12 and a monoblock with a sub at the back, and that's it. Wire everything up, all the speakers, because it had rear fill, it had center fill. Then we would be able to demonstrate what can be done even with a simple system. At the end, he treated himself with a bit of a Christmas gift, so he upgraded the mids and the tweeters to 4K Utopias, the latest Utopia speakers, but everything was kept in factory locations. And I tuned the car on the last day, Sunday early morning, to be able to use the car for the guys to demonstrate what can be done with a system like that. Because having an extreme build, obviously extreme results, but having a simple car that was built probably in a week, and it still had factory mid-bass, factory rear speakers, factory center fill, then they could put meaning to the value of tuning, what can be done with the right knowledge. And I also wanted the guys to hear certain things in real time. So I'm going to do that in the future as well on the training. If we have a car on site, and we will have a car on site, we will have to make sure wherever I go in the future, we will have to have a car on site that can do center fill, and it can run rear fill as well. So the guys set into the driving position, and especially with Helix software, which is probably one of the best for training especially, I could show to the guys what it's like when they mute and unmute certain speaker groups. So they were sitting in the driving position, listening to the system, and I asked them to mute the whole left and right front end. And they could hear what the center fill was doing and what the rear fill was playing. So they could put a better meaning to it. It's like you have a complex dish, and if I say, okay, take the chili and take the salt out of the dish, then you can taste what the dish tastes like without those ingredients. And it's such a great way of showing and breaking a system down, because they're like, okay, wow, all right, now I understand it. All right, then put left and right back and just mute and unmute the center, mute and unmute. Then you can hear what it adds to the system, running without center fill or running with center fill. So that was very valuable for them too. Then I also created a preset where the rear fill was running normally. When I say normally, it means that the rear fill was running, left rear fill was running left signal, right rear fill was running normal right signal. So it wasn't running differential. We talk about that in a sec. And the guys could mute and unmute the rear fill, where the rear fill was timed and put in phase with the front end. And then they could really hear what the rear fill can do when it's set up correctly. And it was pretty shocking. Most people couldn't believe that the speakers were actually playing from the back, because when you unmuted the rear fill, it just literally lifted the whole stage a good 6-8 inches. The stage was slightly low in the car because the factory mid-range location in the car is relatively low, halfway up in the door, and quite close to the listener, halfway down the door. And stage height was roughly around the bottom of the screen in the car, which is not ideal, not eye level. It was probably a little bit lower, like chest height. It was okay, and it was well focused. Even without the center fill, you had pretty solid center image, and instruments were separating on the stage pretty well. But once the rear fill was added, it just lifted the whole stage up. So now forget the competition standards and expectations when you want to have left just coming from the left, right just coming from the right, and then left center, right center, everything pinpoint. Because when you're running a system daily and you listen to music, you're not listening to technical tracks like that. People listen to music with a different pair of ears. They are listening, most of them listen to music focusing on tonality, musicality, enjoyment. And running rear fill like that, set up like that, it can truly lift the whole image, and it can give more presence to the mid-range. And most of the guys couldn't believe how they couldn't detect the mid-range from the back. They were looking back, like, what? It's running from the C-pillar. Yep. But it can do that trick, but you have to know how to deliver it, how to do it. Then they also had the chance to experience differential rear feel, which still probably 80% of car audio users have no clue about. They don't even understand what differential rear feel is. Quite a few DSPs can do it, and technically you take the mono signal out of the recording that you can set up in the DSP, and the rear speakers technically just run like an effect speaker. Probably an easy way to understand what it is if you think about the hi-fi systems in the 90s and early 2000s. Most hi-fi systems had a center field, and they also had surround speakers. And if you were listening to the surround speakers on their own, they were just playing some phasey effect stuff from the music. That was technically done the same way. And if you know how to use it properly in a car too, it can actually do magic. It can deliver more room information, it can give you more ambience in the car, and it can also make the stage wider. On the top of that, when it comes to listening enjoyment, it can really put you into the real space. What does that even mean? That was a time when I was also saying that no, you don't need rear feel in a car. Because when you focus on competition is only about left and right. It's only about left and right playback, and everything has to be super pinpoint. That's okay. But if you go to a church and you listen to a performance, or you go to a huge arena, how can you tell that you are in a large space as opposed to listening to a gig in a small capacity, small space, maybe just 300 people capacity room? Or how can you tell the difference that you're actually sitting in your closet? How can you tell that? You can tell that because you are listening to the performance that comes from the stage, but then you also hear the reverberations from the walls. And then you can tell, your brain can process how soon that reverberation comes back to you, and by that you can tell how big space you're in. If you're in a huge space, that reverberation from the walls will come back later to your ear. If you're in a small space, in a dead space, it's quick. That's the problem with the playback for me in a car, that it's a dead space. And if you play just left and right, it stays just a bit two-dimensional. Yes, good systems can deliver stage depth. So from the distance to the stage to the deepest point of the stage, you can have great depth. And if in the recording it was done well, then you can tell that certain instruments sound from further back on the stage. When kind of people say that, oh, I can hear it from the front of the hood. Yes, that is true. But you don't have any information coming from the back of the room. And certain recordings don't even have any content like that, so you may not even lack it or miss it. But I was showing a couple of recordings to the guys running differential rear feel, where let's say we play the Gregory Porter song on Tidal. I have to mention it here as well. If you have Tidal, search for PS Sound, and then if you scroll all the way to the right, then where you see artists, songs, tracks, whatnot, all the way at the end, you can see now profiles. They recently added this feature, and then you can find PS Sound profile. Click on it, then you will have many playlists over there. Not just the PS Sound demo list, but you will have many different genres, sound quality playlist, video playlists. And in the video 2 playlist, I have this Gregory Porter live recording in a concert hall, where they managed to record and capture the room information so well. And then you can hear the way people clap in the audience. And when the guys down in Melbourne as well could experience running the system with or without differential rear feel, how much value and enjoyment it could give to the listening. Pretty much everyone was saying that once you mute the differential rear feel, the whole system just became boring and unrealistic, because they could tell that, okay, it's doing the holographic imaging, it's doing a nice, well-balanced system, and the drivers integrate well, but the space disappeared. And then the whole listening experience became so obvious that you're listening just to a playback. a left and right playback. It's not true, it's not giving true space. As soon as the differential rear feel is added, and if it's tuned well, I have to emphasize it, if it's tuned well, then it can really trick your brain and it can put you more realistically into that space. You get more involved, you get lost in that space more. And then it was so great to see the guys as well enjoying themselves. And since we had this opportunity to use Craig's car in an RS3 to deliver these different presets and then use the car for education, since then he also showed the car to a few people back at his place, and quite many people had to say that shit, we've never heard a better system. And yes, it was a great system. On my scale, well, we could talk a lot about that, my scaling. It was a good 6.5. Phil's car was a solid 8 to me when it comes to quality. But what his car was doing already with just such a quick job, he had a fair amount of rattles, but then okay, you know, that car only had probably a week's work. But now he can push it even further. And it was stunning, honestly. It was stunning to see the results and then being able to use that car for the guys to hear these things and then being able to taste these dishes, right? Yeah, since the training, Michael, especially Michael's story, I have to mention, it's great. So he was the person, as I mentioned, who was struggling the most, but at the end he got there. And he was one of the DIYers, because we had 10 people, out of which 3 were DIYers and 7 people were from the trade. And Michael took the car back to the shop where he bought most of the equipment, as much as I remember. And he showed the system to the guys down there. And sorry if now you realize it's yourself. But the guys listened to the system, and then Michael said that the guys were astonished, and they said that they didn't remember the time when they heard such a well set up system. That kind of tells a little bit about the shop as well. If they are not able to deliver that level that now a DIYer can do himself and tune himself, then this should give a wake-up call to everyone, to all of you. If you want to be able to deliver, you have to realize that the knowledge of system design and tuning are the most important things in car audio. Not how much money you spend on equipment. Forget it. It becomes secondary, or even further down the line. All those guys on the training could finally understand the value of the knowledge. And that's the most valuable part of any car audio system. So, not that I'm trying to sell now this training to everyone. Those who understand it will certainly walk away from it happy and being able to do whatever they want in the future. They won't have any foggy parts in car audio anymore. But that valuable lesson, even for that shop, when they listened to Michael's car and they said that, okay, where did you take it? Who tuned the car? That moment when Michael could say, oh, I tuned it. Yeah, that was the whole point of this process. That moment probably for that shop to realize that shit, this DIYer could do it himself. Okay, probably Michael had to explain that, oh, okay, you know, there's this guy in UK, Peter, he came down to Melbourne and we had this training. Yes, that was needed, 100%. So overall, it was great success. I proved the fact that it has meaning, and this training definitely has future, and we are planning the next rounds. We already have quite a few people signed up for it, even if I haven't advertised it publicly yet, but as I mentioned, I'm going to advertise it in the upcoming days. So you will see the upcoming training sessions you can take part in. And probably I'm going to finish this video now with the feedback the guys had from the training, or if you've already watched Jay's content that you can find in description, then he had a shorter version of the guys' feedback from the end. I'm going to have a longer version coming now, and then you can see what all of the guys thought about the whole process of their experience, how they walked away from it. So yeah, this is going to be a bit longish, but if you are still with me, it's 100% worth to watch it, especially if you consider in the future to take part in this PS Sound training. So all I can say from these guys that I'm super happy, because I know that this works. This is going to change many people's lives. It's going to change many businesses' future, because this training is open for anyone, for professionals, for DIYers. So you're welcome to send us an email. You can find the contact in description, and please watch this probably upcoming 20 minutes from the guys' feedback from the end of the training. And hopefully I will be able to see you in the future, and look out for upcoming training dates. I'm going to share them on Facebook and in here on the YouTube channel as well. And if you want to learn more about all this madness, if you want to have behind the scene content, weekly topics, all these things I always mention now in the videos, check out the description. Please check out the Patreon channel, because there's a lot to learn there, even more than whatever I've shared on YouTube. Now, we had Patreon running for over 2 years, since 2020, and there's so much content, hundreds and hundreds of posts, weekly topics, daily updates from cars. We have RT evaluations, where I break down systems that we built, and there's a lot you can learn from it, but that's a different topic. So for now, guys, enjoy and see what the guys thought about the training. But for now, this is it for me. Hopefully you like this little content, and hopefully I can see you in the future. Take care.
I'll just light a camera. New addition to your channel. So now we are almost at the stage like at the beginning. Now I'm starting the speech and I have no bloody clue what I'm talking about. We will see what comes out of it. So now we are at the end of day 3. Everyone is knackered. Oh, I'm still fresh. First day. Knackered. But I just hope that you are all going to go home now with a beautiful picture that you now see clearly, and then you can start painting. Yeah. You can paint beautiful pictures and then show to everyone that you are Picassos. Yeah?
We've been getting the brush.
Well, you got the colors and everything else, so... Well, I didn't give you one of those, what is it called, like kids have, you know, those... That's the one, that's the one.
He's given from an extra sketch where he's just
But yeah, maybe, because we only have 10 minutes left, and maybe we have to start with Andrew, because you will have to fly soon. Yeah. And you have had probably the most rushed practicing part, but at the same time you had great progress to collect your ideas. You made notes, and hopefully we can spread it out. Yeah. Probably I'll be revising it. I'll revise it, and then I can send it out to everyone. Yeah. Well, how did you feel after now these 3 days of madness?
Fantastic now, really. When I came over, I didn't really know whether the concepts and things that you'd be teaching us would just go over my head or not. And even up until when I jumped in Craig's car, Savo this morning, I'm still thinking, how am I going to put this together? And it did come together, and I feel a lot more confident now than I did before, especially about my processor and things, to be able to go home and practice and stuff. So, yeah.
Your wife can say goodbye to you for a few weeks. But now you're feeling confident that you can.
Yep. Yeah, a lot more. Yeah.
Awesome. If you were talking about your car, Craig, my car, how do you feel? You had some of the most memorable fuck you now moments.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, jumping out, giddy, smiling like an idiot, so happy. Yeah, it's been amazing. It just blew me away to actually get clear, concise instruction, put it into practice, and get amazing results that you've never heard before.
So the most of it is just yet to come.
Yeah.
You haven't even heard the presets that we created together.
No.
Yeah, that will be even more fuck yeah moments.
Definitely worth the drive.
So yeah, just so everyone is clear about it, and then now we have many cameras shooting there. So some people drove 1,800 kilometers. That's Yeah, quite something.
One way.
One way.
Yeah. You've got to do 1800 back here.
Well, now you're driving a beautiful sounding car.
Oh yeah.
Probably
Trip's gonna
the
disappear.
long way will be different.
Yeah.
Take the
long way home.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Callum, how are you feeling?
Really good, really good. I mean, the first day pushed me mentally to just keep paying attention. I didn't even have to drive over, so I don't know why. But I don't know, I guess where I felt my knowledge was, this took that from a really good point and pushed it a long way further, filled in a lot of gaps that I had in my knowledge and my assumptions. It's not about assumptions anymore.
Yep.
And to take that and then jump in a car, even when I was looking over Adam's shoulder and go, yes, when we actually do that, I can see immediately how it comes together and actually works like it ought to. Even if not perfectly the first time around, it is working, it is the right approach, it does generate a certain result each time. And you listen to each car and they've all got a similar character to them because they've all been tuned with the same process. And to be able to do that with a full tune today. And then to be able to, I guess, use it as a unique case with some problem solving as well, and then get good results out of it as it was and then improve on it further. Very, very satisfying. And then just the idea of taking that home and just practicing until it's automatic. Very, very excited about that.
Not too sure when it's going to happen.
Yeah.
Well, we may actually make something out of this site and make it regular. But all of you guys who know you've been here, you will be regular guests from now on. But what I'm expecting from you guys is to bring the car to this level.
I feel personally it's been such perfect timing because I'm about to build my daily as a proper car.
Yeah.
To me, to go home and then have that in front of me is so exciting.
Because now, fortunately, we had a reference built by the boss. Yeah. So now you have something to aim for when it comes to sound quality and a bit of madness that PS Sound Style systems can deliver. So I would like to see something similar.
I'm excited.
That's very exciting. Well, that's always been our goal, but to have an actual something that we've sat in and go, okay, now we know exactly what our reference is.
How was it for you? Because you didn't have that much experience in tuning.
Not
did
as
you?
much. I've obviously looked over car and shoulder a lot for a long time, but before I Wicks. But yeah, not as much. Most of the tuning I've done has been by ear and basics, which is fine for basic systems. But yeah, to have a process that you don't, none of it is make it up as you go along. You follow the process, and you know what the result you're looking for, and you keep doing it until you get that result. On to the next step. That's invaluable for.
And the trouble is, I always tell to people, tuning is a bit like cooking. A bit like Phil Cook in India. That he preps for hours. You guys who don't know it, I had the fortune to taste his Indian cooking that has many ingredients, and he prepared for so many hours, so many ingredients, and you could screw it up so easily. You just miss out one step, or if you screw up the first few steps, the rest is not edible. And then everyone's trying to get something out of it to make it edible. Yeah, well, it's good enough not to starve and die, but to cook something that's stunning, yeah, we had a better Indian night than probably going to a restaurant. In the industry for quite a few years.
Yes, under a rock, obviously. But take it a lot home with me, that's for sure.
Well, what's going to be your first job in the car? don't mention brands. Don't mention brands.
Probably, yeah. I understand the limitations of the equipment. That's a big thing.
You need tools. You need the right tools, the right DSP for tuning, for sure.
Good, thank you, Michael, for letting me tune your car.
But again, you wouldn't have understood those limitations before today, and now you can see where you need to keep going.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I thought it was the biggest need, you know?
Yeah.
So, Yeah.
To be fair, you had the car at the beginning that I would have driven away with. I told it to you.
That's very humbling, yeah.
I wouldn't say it was amazing, but I would have driven away with that transporter. But what it was good. He had qualities, with limitations, but he had qualities.
Yeah. And there's an improvement, for sure.
Yeah.
A big improvement on it.
And then imagine how much more improvement you will have once you have the right tool.
Yeah.
Crazy. Now you see the picture.
DSP is the tool.
Yeah.
We want good quality.
Mr. Wayman.
Like, Callum, been playing with stereos and tuning cars for, years and years and years. But, obviously to start with, and from a lot of my time, it was just sort of winging it and just learning as I go. And, back even when I was doing, sound quality comps in my own car, it was reset it every time, just so that I could try and get that little bit better every time I was doing it. But again, I was working off just guess pretty much.
You were trying to make it edible.
Exactly, and back in that time, we weren't using RTA, we weren't using any of that stuff. It was just basically listen to it and find yourself a reference to then go from, not actually use a microphone. Obviously in the last few years I've been using microphones, but I have been doing a fair bit of, like the auto tuning and that sort of stuff, and then, manually tweaking from there. But to be able to understand the process from start to finish that technically not only works in a car, like even just understanding Room EQ Wizard now that can be used on anything is a really cool skill. I'm even impressed at how much difference we've made in this car, like for the amount of time that I've spent in there. And I even know now that it's got more in it.
Yep.
And that's the scarier part, that I know how far technically we could push it.
Once you sleep.
Yeah, well, once I actually get some sleep, it'd be great. But then there's another thing, my car. I was always, there's no point in doing anything to it. It's just, it's a piece of shit. It is what it is. There's no point in up. Now I'm like, okay, Dash's coming out, I'm putting shit up here, cutting holes here, I'm cutting holes in the floor, subs under the seat, all of the stuff. So it's put a new life into it. And again, listening to Phil's car was just like, mind explosion for the fact of knowing how far really you can go. And I thought I knew what a really good level was, but now my level's changed. So, in
a way, it's bad.
It is bad, but it's absolutely fantastic.
Genuinely.
You jumped a few times.
First try.
It wasn't the first one. Yeah, that one man.
Yeah, it just came in like so hard.
Yeah, definitely. Boss. Boss.
Boss
Phil.
The biggest realisation is when you try, there's nobody to teach you this stuff, really.
No.
And it's been great with these. And Ben's come all this way, share his expertise and knowledge with us. That's been a fantastic pleasure. It's a once in a lifetime opportunity. But there's really nobody that will get out there and teach you. So you have to sort of research this stuff for yourself. You don't know what's right and what's garbage. And there's a lot of garbage getting around the internet. And, like many of you, we've gone down lots of rabbit holes trying to solve the mystery of the tuning. And so the thing I took out of this was it's a process and doesn't require fancy impulse response things, not a bunch of stuff, right? That you can make any car sound good. The install helps, but even with a bad install or compromised speaker location, you make a car sound really good.
I think just about everyone's had that aha moment over the weekend.
Yeah. And I know people don't like to, I need expensive speakers and things, but that's not true, right? You can really get good results. The second thing I found out about all of this was that bloody hard work. Like, you've got to take your hats off to people that can do this really well, right? It's like golf, just put the ball in the hole. It's not easy. So, no, thanks Peter for coming out and sharing your knowledge.
Well, at the same time, I have to thank you too. It wouldn't have happened without you. I haven't had anyone as crazy as you.
No, I mean,
Crazy tonight when he hasn't finished.
yeah, well, no, I'd be crazy when I
He was the first person trusting me.
Yeah.
It was obvious from the internet.
Yeah, but no, it's been a great been a great trip. So, and it's not over. I reckon you guys will really enjoy Sydney. So,
Yeah, fortunately we'll have a few more days.
yeah.
If only we had at least one more day here. Now we see. Maybe next one has to be 4 days. Maybe. But you could have said, no, Pete, we have plenty of work to do. We could have spent all the time just one-to-one on this, and this wouldn't have happened. Michael.
Probably me from the least amount of audio tuning knowledge of pretty much anyone.
Yeah.
And probably learning from the best guy out there that can tune a cup. So I learned heaps and how to do everything, and I honestly do not know what sound systems can really actually sound like. And how they can, it's just unbelievable, like what you can get out of it.
Did you manage to spend any time in yours today?
Not a lot.
No, yeah.
Someone else was in it.
Yeah. So yeah, we still have things to finish off.
Yeah, that's cool.
Because you definitely, you were thrown into the deepest water. That was obvious.
Because I know you can hear sound, but I didn't realise you can sort of feel sound at the same time.
I was hoping that after all those mistakes you did yesterday, that we would manage to get something good out of it. And Scully was working. Because you were going back and forth so many times that I was worried. I thought that I would have to sleep in the car during the night and then do everything myself.
I got that.
That was the whole point. If I was tuning every single car, what would you take away from it?
A tuned car. That's about it.
You know what's quite remarkable is that between our tunes, there's actually a lot of similarities. Like, it's ridiculous.
That's what I said. If you follow the progress,
repeatable results between two different people.
Yeah.
Crossovers are a little bit different, but that's...
We should all achieve the same point. Oh, if only we had a week and we could put everyone through fields to tune the car to the same as my tune. That would be the end goal. That would be awesome.
We'll see you next time we're back here.
Definitely.
Oh, you are not that far from field. You can take the challenge on.
It won't mean summer. Don't you do this in summer again?
No.
Yep, someone else tuned. You got air conditioning in your garage?
Well, that part is my fault, to be fair. Because it was easy for us to leave cold country. And then this was the only time when we had a gap in the schedule. Otherwise, I don't even know when we could have found the time for this. Probably sometime in May, June. But we are booked in June already, so by then probably you would have cut the hole on the top of the roof.
2 ladies in the roof.
You can teach anyone then, too?
Yeah, almost. You were almost the hardest, but you got there, which is wicked. Warren, you haven't finished it. Have you listened to music yet?
I have listened to music yet,
And?
It's running. It's not perfect, but it's probably passable. It's passable.
Okay.
Yeah.
You have serious OCD problems.
That's why his car's not here.
Yeah, exactly right.
Well, yeah, you might be right. You wanted to create something perfect and
Yeah.
you didn't happen to make it. But yeah, tonight, even after, when is it coming?
I'll order it in 2 minutes.
Don't miss your flight. I mean,
That'll have its advantages if I do.
true
But no, I need to.
True that, but yeah, we still have plenty of hours to practice tonight, and yeah, if it's gonna be 3-4 a.m., then it is what it is. I just get on the plane in the morning and then
Sleep.
sleep 1.5 hours.
Better than nothing.
Put your car back together. You'll be able to tune it.
Exactly right.
And you can be as OCD as you like.
It's going to make me reevaluate the system, that's for sure, though.
Yeah.
Definitely going to change a few things. So it's probably a good thing that I wasn't ready in time.
Yes, you probably didn't install anything because you didn't see the picture.
Exactly.
Everything happens for a reason.
Exactly right. Yeah.
Because I remember when we were talking, you mentioned that you had pretty good equipment, and then I was like, okay, they're going to have a car on site we can use for tuning, and it's going to have really fancy gear. It would have been nice to see it, but then now probably you also see that that's not the most important thing at all.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly right. Yeah.
The cooking is more important than the ingredients, probably.
100%.
We had fun on Wednesday.
Yeah, lots of fun.
Andre as well. We had lots of fun.
Good day.
And a big thank you for letting us use your workshop. That was awesome. Yeah.
Anytime. Anytime.
Yeah, you would probably do changes in the workshop as well after we just spent the day together.
Yeah, definitely. Dust extraction is going to get sorted a bit better.
Just a little bit. So how are you feeling?
Great. Honestly, great. I mean, there's big improvements with everyone, but yeah, knowing that I know the process and I can keep working on it and keep getting better and moving forward, I mean, couldn't ask for anything else.
The good thing is that you were probably the person who I've had to worry the least about. Somehow I didn't have to explain so many things. I didn't have to explain things 2, 3, 5 times. And maybe does it have anything to do with the fact that you've been following the Patreon content?
Yes, as well as other content. Like I'm OCD, so I do lots of research into everything. So, but following your stuff beforehand, not so much. Just knowing kind of the process, but just not the secrets. That's kind of
some of the ingredients are left out.
Exactly. You just left the important ingredients out, and then when you came here, you told us the ingredients and the process.
Yeah, I told you the ingredients in 50 hours.
Hey, you can cut another one off.
But no, it's great.
Well, hopefully in the future I will have the opportunity to have the industry more, and I was hoping that this would come together and you will feel like this, because you don't have to say all of this just because I don't know. No. There are cameras running over there. Maybe in 20 years time we will look back at it and we will be laughing.
Someone said last night, one of the guys, he was saying how the scene in Australia sort of wiped right off, right?
Died.
It's not dead. They got kicked in the face, but
Yeah, hopefully something like this will sort of give an opportunity to sort of get some leaks going and continue.
100%.
No, I always say that
Absolutely.
Sharing knowledge shouldn't be treated the way people treat it. That no, I keep everything to myself. I want all the business to myself. There's plenty of work out there for everyone in the business. And the trouble is that the jobs are not coming because the quality is not there. When you show to the customers that the quality is there, they will want it. Who would want to buy a 15-year-old Golf GTI with 200 horsepower, shops trying to do the marketing that this is the best car you can get, when then you can get a Koenigsegg, a Bugatti, you can get that too, but without experiencing it. Well, okay, it's not the right comparison because those cars are expensive, but okay, maybe some people also consider what we do really expensive, but without putting me into it, without being able to experience it and hear a car like that, they will never ever consider going for it. Customers will want it, because then those who have a car, coming out of your workshop, so from your hands, they will show it to their friends, and then it will spread. They will want it. And then that's how we are in a really fortunate position that now I can say that usually our lead time was 2-3 months. Now we are looking at like 6-7 months. It's crazy. Because people just want crazy systems like this. They want to enjoy music, and all the naysayers on the internet, they will only really understand it once they sit in PS Sound style cars.
That's the thing, music is made to be enjoyed, not played through one speaker. Never.
You know what my nemesis? These sound bars. It's great for sales and marketing, and everyone now has a sound bar in front of the TV, but I see one, I just cringe. At least just get, a stereo pair of speakers with a 2-channel amplifier, and you'll be better off just listening to movies through that than a sound bar. It looks pretty, but wasn't. Hang on a second. Have you ever seen anyone putting a sound bar in a car?
He's on a try.
I didn't see that in your cupboard.
No. Actually, I do have one.
In your bedroom? Yeah, we're playing from Mrs. She wanted practical space. But yeah, I'm just glad that this just has happened, and it will also change the future for me, for you. for those who are just in this game for the love of the hobby, you will have more time, more fun, and then finally you can enjoy it. Because how many years have you been dealing with car audio, playing with car audio, Michael?
Basically, if I buy a car, I'll pull all the speakers out and replace them in the head deck.
When was the first that you did? And ever since? How many years has it been?
Since my first car, which was back in 2001, probably.
So more than 20 years.
Yeah, but it wasn't nothing like this. It was basically installing two-way speakers with a crossover, and that was it basically. You know?
Warren, how many years for you?
Ever since I've owned a car, so yeah, I've been driving for 12 years now, so 12 years.
12 years easily, yeah.
Just pulling things apart, you know, basic things, yeah.
That's the thing, we can't live without it.
No.
Once you get the taste of it, you can't live without it. And then now you know you can truly enjoy it at this level.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
Thank you.
Hey Peter, I just wanted to send a quick message. It's been about a month since the training in Melbourne now, and I still can't say thanks enough. It's it's kind of weird. I have a large commute to work, about an hour each way, and I jump in the RS3 every day and I get to listen to the magic, which makes the trip enjoyable. And it's been great getting to demo to everybody that wants to listen. Even the wife jumped in and she's like, oh wow, it's so clean and clear and it sounds like they're right there in front of me. And I was just like, oh, you know, she's obviously got no idea what it's all about, but just to get those sort of comments from someone that obviously doesn't really understand, was pretty good. And then getting, you know, reps from companies coming around and jumping in and listening and just seeing their emotional reaction, you can tell that they're they're impressed. As much as they probably, you know, it's not their product and they don't want to say it, you can tell by their reactions and the way they smile and and react to the music that they're impressed. They all, you know, oh, it's good, you know, it sounds really nice, and want to know about the system and obviously know about the training and try to probe you. But I can't say thanks enough. I really appreciate all your time and effort. I still can't believe how long the days were and you were always there even after we'd finished and we're still at dinner and people still asking questions. It's a credit to you to just be on for that period of time. It was impressive to see. Anyway, have a good day, mate. See ya.